Welcome to this special edition podcast series, Surviving the Shitstorm, with me, Michael Tinkser. In this episode, I'll be talking with Elaine Batho, who's a life and wellness coach that helps hospitality professionals living healthier and happier lives. She's worked in the hospitality industry for decades and really understands how it all works. We talked about how to survive and thrive now and long term. She gives practical tools and tips for supporting your own as well as your team's mental health. Thank you to HGEM, Tahola and Vita Mojo for making this possible. The next 30 minutes, I will suggest you take some time out, grab some papers, and get these top tips and advice down from Elaine. They're really going to make a difference for you. Thank you for joining us today again on this special edition podcast. There's no doubt about today, we are saying the 20th of March 2020, and our world and our beloved hospitality and restaurant industry is in serious challenges out there, and we've decided to call this podcast the Shitstorm due to the coronavirus. And there's a lot going on out there in the moment. It's moving so fast that we can't even keep up with it anymore. So a lot of the leaders out there are then, which we really feel for, and also the people that's working in their businesses dealing with extreme uncertainty, and many of them have already been hit by mass redundancy. And yes, there's some really fear and anxiety out there right now. So today we are very lucky to be joined by Elaine, who is a life and wellness expert with more than 30 years of experience working in hospitality. So she understands the world you guys are living in out there from an operational point of view. Of course, nobody can really grasp the uncertainty of the world we're in right now. So Elaine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and organizing this amazing recordings that you're doing so quickly to help people.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on as well and sharing some of your advice, which I am quite sure from our conversation is going to be invaluable for many people.
Thank you. I hope so.
So just for people out there to get a bit of a grip of where you come from, I said you had some experience from hospitality and you're a life and wellness expert. Can you give people your elevator pitch so they have a bit of context?
Sure. I'm going to do a slight variation on it, just super quick to make it relevant to those that are listening. So my 30 years in the background in hospitality, during that time, I suffered severe burnout, anxiety, panic attacks, all sorts of health conditions. And from my own recovery from that, I then retrained in many, many modalities to help people not go through the same thing. And for the last nearly 4 years, I've been helping people to change their lives and focused on people in the hospitality industry through the work that I do. It's very relevant today, coping with anxiety and overwhelm and just being well, the best state as we can be. And that's, in a nutshell, what I do.
And from your point of view, when you have probably followed the media and looked at the world, but also the industry you've been part of many years, what do you see from the way you for the way you operate? Where do you think we are short term? Both when you see it from the leaders of business and also from the people who is the core of our industry and always been.
Yeah, I think there's as you said at the beginning, there is a huge amount of fear and uncertainty at the moment, and uncertainty certainly breeds fear too. But there are also amazing things going on that I've noticed, like cross industries, people transferring skills between retail and hospitality today. I've seen like lots of recruitment going on in that respect. So there are glimmers of hope, but it's also very, very sad and challenging times. But I also do have hope that there is going to be some more assistance and help coming at a higher level, because we are all in this together. But at the moment, it feels very raw, very sore. And yeah, it is devastating to watch and to read and to see what people are experiencing. Which is why I reached out to you, because I feel that there's more that we can do to help people to cope with these situations so that we can be in a better mind state to make things better.
Totally agree. And I totally agree, because there's I think there is, like, if you look at it as a, we had a couple of people on talking about managing the situation now, and then there's a, an aftermatch in a way, and I'm thinking about even that myself, to be totally raw and honest as well. Like, I'm thinking like right now I'm just in crisis manage mode. I'm involved in different businesses. I'm trying to stop as much bleeding as possible and actually save as much of it. But actually, you feel you're fighting an uneven fight because in 2007 and 8 there was a crisis, and I was part of that. But I feel like we had time to react. It just feels like when you are in the middle of action on something else happened, which means that it goes even faster. And a friend of mine said that, and I mentioned this on the podcast, but it's like standing in the middle of a square and suddenly somebody just pull your trousers down. That's how fast it goes.
Yeah.
So where's your view, like long term, if we look at this? How do people actually need to look at this, and what do they need to start to be aware of? Because right now probably a lot of people are surviving and they haven't even seen the consequences on their mental health and stuff like that. So what could be some of the things that people really need to be aware about now that really could impact them long term?
Well, firstly, I think the most important thing is to say, and it's really easy to sit and say this in this conversation, but when we're in fear, we don't think straight. It does actually affect the way that we're thinking. So when we're kind of firefighting and just trying to put the fires out, we're not functioning at our best. So it's being able to control, and I love to say this is like one of my mantras at the moment, is control the controllables. So we can only control what we can control, and that isn't things that are outside of ourselves. Like, we can't control like the bigger, scarier stuff that's going on, but we can control how we react and think about things, how we're taking care of ourselves. And for the long term, like adaptability is huge at the moment, and we're seeing businesses that are and individuals, I think, that are doing better, and I don't mean financially, I think surviving by being adaptable and seeing things in a different way. How can I do this differently to survive? No, it's not necessarily what I signed up to do originally, but I'm adapting so that I can survive, or I can help my business in some way, or I can help myself personally. So I think looking short term and long term eventually is looking at how I can control myself at the moment to make me in the best state that I can be to survive this.
If you were like to give some, let's say start with the operators and say give them some advice right now, what would be the top 3-5 things they should do short term right now to take care of themselves, but also the same goes for their people? What is it that they can do right now if they actually have an opportunity to because as we say, we're recording right now and the world can change dramatically, and there will be maybe businesses that's not here, and there's maybe too late, but you maybe even this may be so brutal. We're even talking about the people that can survive this. What can they do short term right now in their businesses? Because their people is their culture, and the culture is the business. And if they don't come back recovered or can manage this situation, that will have other implications as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think resilience is, it sounds like such a flippant word to use right now, but we do need to kind of be resilient. And it's like, we don't know the outcome of what's going to happen eventually, but we also kind of have to have faith. Like, we're part of nature, like nature is giving us a huge wake up call at the moment for whatever reason. We don't know. We're just part of this system of being on Earth, but nature never fails. The trees always grow, the flowers always come up, and we will survive this, and we'll come out of this as a better human race of people. It may feel at the moment like the world is falling apart, but what if we're being redirected to something even better? And if we can show up as better people at the moment for our teams, for ourselves, for our businesses, even if that doesn't, it means that you're not making money in a way that you can pay people their wages. And as heartbreaking as that is, how else can you serve your people right now? What else can you give them? Whether it's a bit of positivity or support in some other way, or put them in touch with somebody else. We've got to think outside the box. We're all in this together. Community is so, so important now. And for some people, just having someone to talk to, maybe as beneficial as trying to sort out somebody's wages, for example. And I'm not saying that that's the case for all of us. It just really depends. And I do also have faith and belief that we're not going to be hung out to dry in this country. We're far too evolved. The industry is too important to this country. It is changed, and it's changed forever. But for now, I think we need to focus on what we can do to just help each other through this situation.
I read an article as well, which actually fits really well what you said, by a very good colleague of mine, Leonardo, and I shared it on LinkedIn. And he said in time he's been through a couple of crises. He said nothing like this, where the mad cow disease and the financial breakdown in Greece. But he said, like, in crisis, what he'd learned was it's about caring about people, and then everything will be as it should be on the other side. And I know, again, it's a bit flippant, but I genuinely also believe in that hope. I think you're right there. We need to do. How can you serve in other ways? What can you do to bring a bit of light? How can you help? How can you navigate people into the? What would you say to people? You know, the frontline people, and you probably know them as well. The people that works, on minimum wage, not much cushion. They are now thrown into, the abyss of challenges financially, emotionally. They could have kids. There could be so many implications, and this is probably my biggest concern, and what makes me really sad, and really like almost talking about it here, I well up a bit, because I can see that these people that are so essential for everything we do are now going to be left in a really bad position. There will be other opportunities. They can go and get work somewhere else. Right now, but again, there will be a majority of them in really big trouble out there. How should they manage this, and what would you be a top advice be to them right now? Because that's severe stress. Maybe not food on the table even.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of every single initiative that is going on charity-wise, government-wise, financial-wise, but there have been some obviously big changes in the way, obviously I'm not going to go into politics, but of way of legislations and mortgage breaks and all of those sorts of things. So I would firstly just seek out all the help that you can get and research all the help you can get. I mean, there's some amazing charity things that are going on. I've seen in the last couple of days with Hospitality Action, for example, and Tip Jar, their incentive. So there's stuff out there to support. But again, I think firstly, it's just trying to just stop for a minute and just breathe and try not to get into like this catastrophic thinking, like, maybe I just have this very optimistic mindset. Like, we're all in a bit of a bad state at the moment. Business is cancelled, or like you've lost thousands of pounds. But it's having that belief and faith that it's not always going to be like this. Taking a step back, breathing, just taking care of yourself, and then start to do some research and find, what can I get help with? What can I control? What can I do? Where can I help? Where can someone help me? And don't be afraid to ask for help too. Like, there's a lot of stoicism in this country, even in times of crisis. We don't like to be seen like we're struggling, but you have to put your hand up and say, I need help.
And it's about asking, isn't it?
Definitely. Don't be afraid. And like, my God, there's so many emotions that we're all feeling right now. There's a lot of people that are in denial, understandably. There's a lot of people that are in fear. There's a lot of people in panic. And none of those emotions are wrong. We just have to embrace them. We're humans. None of us have been through this experience before. I mean, God, I walked into the supermarket the other day and burst into tears. And but the next minute I was fine. It's just, you have to feel the feelings and just allow yourself to go with it. But don't get caught up in it all. Try not to digest so much social media and reading all these terrible stories, because, like, you're going to end up bringing yourself into an even worse state. You've got to control how you can keep yourself sane, if you like, and calm, so that you can cope with all that's going on. There's no point like wallowing in all these doom and gloom stories and then expecting yourself to get a brainwave of what can I do to make it better, because you won't, because you'll take yourself into a fear state. Totally.
What about if we think about from both sides again, the operators and the individual employee? What can they do? Like, what is that they can do long term? Because that's gonna be, we are now in crisis management mode, the phase one of a big change, and at some point that will, not on a specific date, but that will, we will get into when we all sit at home and we all have done the things we could do short term. We will be sitting and we will be all be sitting a bit alone at
Yeah,
home. And
yeah,
that's, I guess that's where it really starts to trick in, because then you're out of, execution. You can't do anything more. You can just sit and wait and see what's going to happen. And there's no answers in principle, just a lot of guessing as well. What would your top advice be to people there?
So I'm going to do a massive generalization here, but I'm yet to be proved wrong by this. But we join the hospitality industry because we love people. We want to help people. We want to serve people. We want to be around people. So for us, particularly, it is hard to then go to being on your own. And like starting my business 4 years ago, I found it really hard to come to like working from home. For a lot of what I do is online. So I've got quite a few years under my belt of understanding how to make that better. And the top thing I would say to anybody is to just stay communicating with people, connect with your communities. So get yourself online. Instead of just talking to somebody, make sure it's a video call, reach out to people, just create things, make it as fun as you can. Like just create, I don't know, like if you're into reading, create an online book club. And this sounds so twee to say something like that, but these are the little things that make such a huge difference. If your team have all been temporarily suspended, or people have been made redundant, as a manager, you could maybe set something up around that so that you've got like a weekly call or a daily call just to keep everyone together. And like when this comes to an end, and it will do, because it won't always be like this. This is changing. We're going to come out the other side. But the kind of connections and the effort that you make today is going to serve you in the long term. You're going to have people that are loyal to want to work for you again. They're going to be grateful for what you've done. And this isn't just doing it about getting that reward, but it's also for yourself. I mean, I'm finding the more I'm doing to help people right now is making me feel better, because I feel like I'm doing something. When you're just sat at home and feel like I'm out of control, that's the worst feeling. Another thing I would also say is routine. Don't kind of get into I'm just going to stay in my pajamas all day today. Get dressed, make an effort with how you look, stick makeup on if you wear makeup, do things so that you're not just sat. Use the time wisely. This is, how can you actually reframe the situation? And this is going to sound like a really tough question for people to ask themselves. But if you can ask yourself this question, this is going to serve you massively. If you ask yourself, if this experience was happening to me for a higher good or a higher reason, what could that answer be? So maybe you've not been living in a way that's ideal for you, maybe the way you've been working, maybe the way your business was running. This is a massive opportunity to reflect and make changes so that when we do come out the other side, that we are living a better way and we're helping people in a better way. It's, we can take two choices. One, we can just fall apart and collapse and give up, or we can take this opportunity and grow and shine. And I'm not going to recommend that you read this now, but there's a great book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He was an Auschwitz survivor. It's a really hard read and not a great time to read it right now. But the premise of the book is, as what he's saying is obviously from his experience, the people that died were the people that gave up on life. The people that survived are the ones that kept going. And I'm not likening the coronavirus any way, stretch or form remotely like the experiences they had, but people survived that. We can survive this, but we have to choose the mindset. We've got to use our time wisely, and that's what's going to see us through and make us better people in the long run.
And I guess there's spending your time wisely is essential, no matter if you're in a crisis or not, because that's the limited factor we have in life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I was chatting to one of my coach friends the other day, and she was saying, like, I know that years ago I would have been in the pub getting pissed right now, and I would have been too. I was a massive drinker back in the days, but that's not going to solve the issue. It may give you a bit of a temporary respite, but you can't get drunk every day for the next 6 months or 3 months or 2 weeks or whatever it is. I'm not saying don't do it if you need to have a bit of a blowout, but think about how else I can use my time wisely so that you come out a better person. And who knows, you might come up with an even better business idea that is even more rewarding, profitable, enjoyable than whatever you were doing before. But you're not going to come up with those ideas if you're sat at home wallowing or drinking loads or giving up.
Yeah, and I think often that you see in crisis that alcohol is often for many a solution. But I agree with you. I would probably have done the same 10, 15 years ago. Where now I would probably I see this as a time that's my own. You want a time for reset and healing. So I will be very aware about how I eat, the way I consume, the possibility to do you actually maybe more regular exercise because of less travel, spending time with my loved ones, and actually have that time with my kids and stuff like that. And actually you can get a lot out of that if you allow yourself to be there. And that's healing in itself in all this, because this is out of control for many people. It's out of your circle of influence, as you said in the beginning, and I think you're absolutely right. This is maybe the time to think about how can I actually spend this time to I actually know I can do something and getting back into work, apply for a new job. How can I actually use this time to recover and be ready for that, for the opportunities coming again.
Yeah, definitely, because life is going on. All you have to do is look outside and look at the buds that are coming on the trees. We're in spring. Spring has started. Change is coming, and it is always changing. Sometimes just being out in nature can give us a good reminder of that too, when we're so overwhelmed and in our heads.
Go out and see some green nature. Yeah, that's a very good advice. So, can you send people anywhere for if they want to have some help? Something they want to read about, their mental health, if they're stressed out, where can they go and find some help and support when they want to start, taking care of themselves? Is there any good advice you can give of that, or maybe websites or something like that?
Yeah, there's loads of resources that are available out there. Obviously, I've got quite a bit of stuff that I have that I do, but also there's things like even like Mind, using their website, NHS website. If you haven't already got a practice in meditation, or even if you have, the Headspace app is amazing. It's how I learned to meditate about over 10 years ago. And in fact, I think at the moment they're doing free stuff. There's loads of resource out there and available. Get on the internet and start searching. Listen to it's like choosing the content that's going to be helping you right now, I think, as well. So it's very easy to scroll through at stuff that's not so beneficial, but get yourself into Amazon and download some books that are going to be on topics that are going to help you. So there's loads of stuff. Hay House are a great publishing author that have lots of well-being, spiritual, emotional, physical authors. There's loads and loads and loads on there. And if anyone wants any specific pointers, then just let me know and I can recommend some books and things. A great book I'd recommend for anybody to read is Growth Mindset. If you've got extra time, Carole Dweck is the name of the author. It was written more about in schools, but it really does help with the way that you're thinking. And you can see everything as an opportunity for growth, as opposed to a fixed mindset of this is how it's always going to be. There's so much out there. Yeah, I could talk probably about half an hour on all the things to recommend.
What we can do is if you shoot me over a number of things, I can put that in the show notes, and then people can definitely go and find some stuff there.
Yeah, I can get you some links and things and recommendations. Sure.
Good. And then also they will be able to find where they can follow you and so on for that sake. But what about you? Because how do you keep sane in all this madness? And because I guess that there is a way, because you are if you are a person that has to give people in a situation like that, and therefore you need we talked about it a bit the other day before we got on the podcast here, about the importance as a leader or a person that gives somebody. What is your top 3 advice to people that are giving a lot, but including yourself? What is it that what are you doing to make sure you are mentally strong and thereby also physical, because these two things are connected very well?
Definitely. So yeah, you're right. I'm a massive giver, and in the past I was a massive giver, but not a giver to myself. And I've learned over the years, certainly through the experiences that I've had, that what happens if you don't give to yourself. We've all know the analogy of the putting the oxygen mask on the plane before somebody else. But so for me, it's really important that I take care of myself, because I get my energy and my joy from helping others. But I can only give to others if I'm taking care of me. So, for example, my typical day, the first hour in the morning is journaling and gratitude. I will write a minimum of 3 things that I'm grateful for as I wake. Great practice. And even if some days it's just like I can see the sun, that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be anything profound. I meditate, and I've upped the amount of meditation that I'm doing at the moment. And if I don't meditate, no matter how many years of personal development and all the stuff that I know, I'll still go into a massive spiral of overwhelm if I don't do it. So it's a consistent practice. I eat very well. I take a lot of water. I drink a lot of water. I don't really drink alcohol anymore. I don't drink caffeine. These are things that will stimulate anxiety and depression in your body. So those sorts of things. I exercise. I hate running. I really hate running with a passion. But because my gym is closed, I'm running every day because I know that it makes me feel better. Ultimately, maybe not at the time I'm doing it. I walk. I get outside into nature every day. And also I make sure that I'm connecting with people. In this last few days, I've spoken to more people than I have done in normal circumstances, because I'm just... and it's just reaching out to people. So I think it's understanding, firstly, knowing what it is that makes you feel good. We all know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we all have basic needs, but we're all different, and certain things will make us feel more energized. And like you said earlier, like for me, giving makes me feel better. So I feel like I have some semblance of control at the moment by helping others. Like my business is suffering massively financially, but I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about how can I help people. I've stopped charging for things. I'm just giving things away because it's making me feel better to do that. So me taking care of my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health, and then health and connections with others are really important for me.
Very, very, very good advice.
Thank you.
If people would like to find out more about you, what is the best place to go? And
so my website, which is my name, elainebatho.com, there is information about me, a little bit about my background, and also there's contact there if you wanted to get in touch. But there's a few things that I'm doing at the moment that aren't on my website. So at the moment I'm running, I've started to run a series of weekly wellness workshops. These are going to be free of charge. And in fact, what I might do is I'm going to start a donation up to some of these hospitality charities that people can donate if they want to. It doesn't matter how much, but just to give a little bit back. I'm getting guest speakers together on it as well. So this is going to be a weekly thing that I'm doing. So I can pop that link in there as well. But yeah, generally the easiest way to find me is on my website, elainebatho.com. And just reach out if you want to ask me anything, you want to have a chat, and just let me know what you need so that I can build content and things around what people need at the moment so that I can keep serving you all.
Good. Thank you very much, Elaine. Thank you so much for coming on, giving your time, and also very useful advice. And we will put all the information we talked about on the podcast because they're going to be very helpful for people as we go forward. So that will be shared together with the podcast. So stay safe out there, Elaine, for you and your family and your loved ones, and sending your energy and power and love to get through this.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for your time and doing this amazing series of podcasts and equally having me as a guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Elaine, for your great advice how to manage your mental health in these challenging times. Remember, if you would like some help, please reach out to Elaine via her website, elainebatho.com. Please share this podcast so other people also can get this great insight and advice. If you like more of this, please subscribe to one of our channels. More to come very soon. If you have not signed up to the newsletter, go to experience1.live and sign up today. Thanks to our partners HGEM, Tahola and Vita Mojo for supporting us getting this out to more movers, shakers and mavericks. Together we can overcome this. Thanks for listening and be kind out there.
We need more help, call the whole town. Now let's try and get this thing off the ground. All in together, let's gather round. We're gonna try and get